Hey everybody. All right, so in this video we're going to be talking about how to find the volume of prisms and cylinders. Well, before we talk about how to find the volume of these things, we need to talk about what prisms and cylinders are. Okay, now a prism is a very simple concept. It's something that's pretty easy to understand. A prism is first of all a three-dimensional shape, and I'm going to show you how we make one. First of all, we start with what's called a base. A base is a two-dimensional shape. So let's take this rectangle here. Now, we make a prism by taking the base and stretching it up so that we get a three-dimensional shape. Now, this shape here has volume. This shape does not. This is a flat. If I were to look at this from the side, it disappears. Okay, this is a two-dimensional shape. It's flat, kind of like a extremely thin piece of paper. This shape here, well, I could put stuff in this, right? This is like a box. Now, this shape is called a rectangular prism, and the reason why it's called a rectangular prism is because that shape, the base that we started with, was a rectangle. Looks close to a square, but it's not. So this is a rectangular prism. Okay. And let's go ahead and make another different type of prism here. Oops. Let's say I take a triangle. Okay. And I take this, and this is what's, again, the two-dimensional shape that I make my prism out of is called my base. Okay, so I'm going to take this triangle and stretch it up into the air. Now this is called a, you guessed it, triangular prism. Okay, it's a three-dimensional shape, and if you look at the top, I've got a triangle on the top, and if you were to look at this from underneath, you've got a triangle on the bottom. Okay, so I've got two sides that are triangles. The rest of the sides are actually rectangles, but that's not terribly important for finding volume. So this is a triangular prism. Now a cylinder is actually very similar to a prism. It basically is a prism, but our base is going to be a circle. And we take the circle and we stretch it up and make a three-dimensional shape. Okay, so cylinders are made with circles being the bases, but they're made in the same way. Now this is going to be a pretty short video because all prisms and cylinders have the same formula for calculating their volume. Let's get red here. So the volume of any prism or cylinder is always going to be the area of that base you started with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the area of that shape that we started with. So it could be a rectangle, it could be a triangle, it could be a circle. And then once we have that area, we are going to multiply that times the height of the prism or cylinder. Okay, and that's how far up we stretched the shape. So the height of this cylinder here, I would have to measure this to see how far I stretched it up. Okay, so I'd calculate the area of this circle on top, and then I'd multiply that times the height. That's it for every single prism. Okay, it could be a rectangle, it could be a triangle, it could be a cylinder which has a circle as a base. I mean, any shape that you can think of, really. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do some examples here. Now this shape you're looking at here is a rectangular prism. And the reason why this is a rectangular prism is because you can kind of think of this as being, if I took this side and it was on the bottom and it was stretched up to here. Okay, so we're going to consider this side to be, and this is going to be a sick combination of colors, like gross, but whatever. We're going to call this side my base. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the area of the base. Remember that the volume is going to be the area of the base times the height. Okay, let's go ahead and find the area of the base. Well, this is a rectangle, so the area of this is going to be my length times my width, and that's going to be 5 times 3. Okay, so the area of my base is 5 times 3. And I need to multiply that by the height, which is the distance that this thing was stretched up, and that's going to be this side, this length right here. So that's going to be 2. So 5 times 3 times 2 is equal to 30. Now what are my units here? Well, I'm talking volume. So we're not talking meters, we're not talking square meters, we're talking cubic meters, okay? Volume is measured in little cubes, or in this case, big cubes. A cubic meter is pretty big. All right, and that's how we calculate the volume of this here rectangular prism. There is a formula for this, but we're just going to go ahead and remember this formula, that it's area of the base. That's this area here. And then we're multiplying that times the height. Okay, let's try another shape. Now this is a little bit different. This is a more complicated looking shape, but I hope you can see that this is a triangle that's been stretched up. Okay, I can't rotate this. This is a two-dimensional image, so I can't rotate this so you can see. But this is a triangle that's been stretched up into the air, which means that this is my base. Okay, so let's go ahead and find our volume. I need to find the area of the base first, which is going to be, well, this is a triangle. This is a right angle. So this is going to be base times height divided by 2. That's the area of my base. So that's going to be, let's see, this side is the same as this length. 5 times 12 divided by 2. Well, 5 times 12 is 60. Divided by 2 is 30. And then we need to multiply that by the height. Well, the height is how much this triangle got stretched up into the air. That's going to be this measurement here. Okay, so I'm going to take this and multiply it by 6. 5 times 12 is 60, divided by 2 is 30, times 6. Well, if you don't know that, we can go over here and say 6 times 30, or 6 times 3 and add a 0, it's 180. 180 what? Well, we're talking cubic units. We're talking volume. So volume has cubic units. Okay. Always meters to the third power, or we call these cubic meters. Okay, now what about this 13? Well, with triangles, you know, sometimes you have a side that isn't important for finding the area. All right, the base and the height are what we're interested in. And that was 5 and 12. Okay, the height was 6. 13 doesn't come into play here, not for volume. It will later when we learn surface area, but not for volume. Okay, let's go to the last example here. All right, this is a cylinder, which you could really think of as being a circular prism. Okay, we start with a circle, we stretch it up into the air. That's how you make a cylinder. So again, I need to find the area of the base first. You know, let's go ahead and just write that separate. We're going to say that the area of the base. Let's go ahead and just find that. Well, this is a circle with a diameter of 6 meters. So the radius is going to be 3 meters. So to find the area of this circle, we're going to say pi times 3 squared. Okay, because our radius is 3. And the area of this circle is going to be, let's go ahead and find out what that is. 9 times 3.14 is 28.26. So it's going to be 28.26. And then I need to multiply this area times the height, which is 4. So this is going to be 28.26 times 4, which is going to be what? 113.08. Let's see if I'm right. 28.26 times 4. Oh, 0.04. How did I mess that up? I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and put that down. 113.08 0.04. And what are my units? Well, all of these are in meters, so my units are going to be cubic meters. Volume always has cubic units. So volume is actually a little bit easier, I think, than area and perimeter, because there are some things that are always true. First of all, it's always going, or the volume of prisms and cylinders, you're always going to take the area of the base and multiply it by the height. And let's just make a note here. Units are always cubic. So inches to the third, and we would say this as cubic inches, cubic meters, cubic feet. And you'll also sometimes see this as, you'll see it written out, or sometimes you'll see CU dot inches or CU dot meters, and that's that's an abbreviation for cubic. So anyway, I want you to know that we measure volume in cubic units. Okay. All right, that's it for the volume of prisms and cylinders. I hope this helped, and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.